Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Sigil here, welcome back to another video. So in this one we're going to talk about probably the first 6 budget damage dealers you're going to have when starting an account. And those are going to be your 6 teams that you're going to use in soul raids. They're not going to stay like this forever, but what I'm going to talk about is probably what you're going to start off with. And they're not going to be in any particular order because, except for Kim Flan's Aquaman, which we're going to talk at the start because he's in the league store, the other characters might or might not be available when you watch the video. One of them might have a challenge, one of them might have an arena season, one of them might have a chest, but you don't know what's going to be where whenever you're watching this video. So the only thing in order is going to be King. So just keep that in mind. The first one is gonna be King, and it's getting so cringe to talk about King because I talked so many times about King and said the same thing every single time on this YouTube channel, but it's just because he's so easy to get and he brings so much for how easy he is to get. You're gonna get his ass from the Lake Store. He's gonna have a third special that deals percentage health damage, which is always great, and it's something that's gonna depend on the enemy's health, so it's not gonna be that reliant on your build. And he's gonna also get himself a little bit of a damage buff, which is great. And as far as team suggestions go, first up, whenever you get King, you're gonna want to pair him up with the Dr. Fate, reduce his power bar cost, or a Power Girl for that matter, because they basically have the same passive. And the third character, you have plenty of options. Just try to pick something that buffs him in a way, like maybe Shazam, or maybe Server Bane. Depends on what options you have available at that point. And what you want to eventually do with King, there's two things that you're eventually going to do with him. But as soon as you unlock him, even without gears, even though you can acquire the gears easily enough at 3 stars, he's going to do great with the third special. But there's a few things he can do later on. So look, this is a free-to-play artifact, for example, that you get for finishing the normal difficulty of the on ice soul rates. This can allow you to spam clones whenever you get defeated. And every single clone of King is going to be able to access that percentage health damage from the third special. So you're going to basically triple the effectiveness of this, getting to the point where a character that's have... I mean, again, you don't have to not have gears because they're easy to get, but in theory you could remove the gears, have this man at 3 stars, level 1, and get like 1.2 billion damage against the 2 billion health fight because of this and the synergy with Nora Snow Globe. There's some things you're going to be able to put together later on when your account is strong with Puppet on him and just spam specials with that. That's also an option. Or you can pair him up with Raven to use Twin Blade plus King plus Raven. Is not something specific to King, it's something that's specific to characters that you can pair with Raven that already have another damage modifier, and they're gonna do great with the Twin Blades. Like, there's a lot of options you have with King in the future. He might not be the absolute best at some of those, and you're probably fine eventually not even owning King because there's so many characters that can replace him in the things he does, but there's so many things he does that you can easily find a place for him. But yeah, King is great. Well, let's move on. Batman Drone is probably arguably the strongest character in the game. It's between her and Beast Boy. We're gonna talk about Beast Boy too, but it's a character that you can grab yourself very easily because she's got a challenge that comes up often enough, and you're gonna also get the gears from there if you're wondering where you get the gears from. And she's gonna require gears to do well, but even without gears, she can do probably a very decent amount of damage in the early stages of the game when you're on normal difficulty in soul raids. And she's also got a chest that costs 250 gems and is gonna have an 8% chance to drop 160 shards for her. It's very easy to unlock her and max her out compared to pretty much all the characters on this list to an extent. And yeah, what makes her strong is this passive, because it's gonna trigger a hazard if you hit the enemy enough times, and it's gonna deal hazard dot damage, and it's gonna be huge amounts of damage. It's insane. And you don't need a particular artifact to make this work, because some characters, I mean, a lot of characters on this list are gonna have a best artifact to use, and Batwoman the Drowned herself also has a best artifact to use depending on the situation, but for the most part she's gonna be fine with any artifact. You can just not have an artifact on her and she will function properly, because the thing that matters is the passive. And in the future you can make this team more expensive, you can upgrade it with a Robin King in there, and do plenty of things, but she's gonna do fine for you with relatively minimal resources. And the very good support character for her is gonna be my boy Johnster Green Lantern, which you're gonna unlock from the League store. So he's very easy to get as well, and he's gonna have this thing, which is great because it increases the hazard dot damage that your characters do. So yeah, Batwoman in the round is probably gonna be in your first six Soul teams. Okay, this one is one of my personal favorites, and it's one on the weaker side of things actually on this list, but it's gonna be Lord Joker with puppets. Though actually it depends at what point your account is, because what's funny about puppet characters, and we're gonna talk a bit about puppet in a second, is that they can do very, very well with minimal resources, but they don't get that much from improving the character itself. But yeah, Lord Joker is gonna do two things that are important. One, it's a Batman Ninja character, so he benefits from the Batman Ninja Robin passive, which we're going to also talk about in a second. And second one is he has a very fast third special animation, and it doesn't knock the enemy on the ground, so you can just spam this. What you want to do is only start building this man as soon as you get the North Snow Globe. Because what this artifact effectively does, it allows you to spam specials for free and at a faster cooldown in between them as soon as you have enough negative effects on the opponents. And it might be a bit hard with lower level puppet to get the negative effects on, but you're gonna get used to it and you're gonna get better at it. If you have a Grodd, it's gonna be much easier, but you might not have a Grodd, but there's ways around this. If you want to activate Puppet, you're probably gonna eventually be able to do that. And once that happens, you're just gonna spam the third special, which again, very fast animation, and doesn't knock the enemy down, so it's gonna result in very good damage. And you pair him up with Robin because Robin just buffs the Batman Ninja characters. What he does effectively is give you lethal damage up to 34 stacks, and it's gonna be a pretty decent amount of lethal damage. And yeah, this is a team that you can easily get going with. You don't need gears on Robin, you need gears on Lord Joker, but they're in the arena store and he's an arena season character, so you're gonna get him easily enough from there. The main thing is Puppet. If you don't have Puppet of Zatanna, maybe don't bother building him yet. I mean, he can do fine without Puppet, but he's so strong with Puppet. Like, to give you a little bit of a benchmark, probably a maxed out Lord Joker, and by maxed out I mean the character itself being maxed out with perfect build. Mine is almost perfect build on this account. So we just need some lethal damage. It's and maxed out passive stats from the artifacts, like two soul rate specific artifacts. Let's say I'm playing for example, Dark Knight Soul Raids, and this gives me passive stats in Dark Knight Soul Raids. So I have two of these at level 10 on the other two characters, and I have level 10 Puppet on him to deal damage. In that situation, he can probably deal above 1.6 billion damage, or 1.5 billion damage at least. He is amazing, and he's gonna be pretty strong with lower amounts of investment too. But yeah, let's move on. Oh no, he's showing a legendary character. Yeah, but this is all you need. This is literally all you need. That's why I'm in the secondary count. You need a Beast Boy at 3 stars and with 1 gear. That's literally everything you need. You see this feeble ass looking man over here with 1.5 attack? This man is probably, if I'm not using Graven with something else, if I'm not using Graven with something else, is for sure my strongest. I mean, Batman Underground too is but he's my at this point with 1 gear and 3 stars. He's easily in my top 3 damage dealers on the secondary counts, and he can deal 2 billion damage. This is enough. This is literally the minimum benchmark to deal 2 billion damage. He doesn't even have crit damage maxed out because I didn't have enough slots. We have crit chance and crit damage, but this is another puppet character. Like Beast Boy with any other character is going to be at least 4 times worse than Beast Boy with puppets. Uh, you need this. You need to have this. But as soon as you get this, and again, it's a free artifact, it's not like I'm asking you to gamble money for it. You're gonna get it as soon as you finish the normal difficulty in the Zatanna Soul Rate. As soon as you get this, you're gonna be able to just spam a lot of third specials with Beast Boy, and they're gonna deal enough damage. Again, this is enough for 2 billion damage, a clean one-shot against almost every single fight in the game that you want to. I mean, of course, it's not gonna work if you're fighting a dot immune fight, because you're dealing dot damage, but You get the point. And it might be a little bit hard to set a puppet for him, but there's plenty of options. If you randomly drop a Manta, it's gonna give you a passive that adds 2 negative effects and trigger instant infinite power. Another option is a legendary Black Adam has 2 negative effects he can add on his basic hits, but again, you might not have this. Then we go to a Vixen who's gonna add 1 negative effect on her basic hits, and if you put hold on a second. If you put a God Killer artifact, which is another artifact that you might get for free. I mean, you do get for free, but it depends if you saw the last contract soul raid yet or not, because there's plenty of soul raids at this point. It's gonna add 2 negative effects, and then you just tag Beast Boy, do one special, and just kill the enemy. And the Beast Boy team, honestly, it doesn't have to be a certain way. It's just on one hand about trying to activate Puppet easier, and there's plenty of characters to do that. And another thing is to make up for what he's lacking, because you're probably gonna have him without gears, in which case you can get some crit chance and crit damage on the talents, or with 1 gear, and 1 gear is enough. But what I'm doing right now, because I don't have maxed out crit damage, as a second teammate, I'm using Multiverse Flash to compensate because he gives me a bit of crit damage. He gives crit damage to all the characters, not only multiverse characters. But if I was, for example, missing some crit chance instead, I would just swap my boy Silver Bane. And he doesn't really need more than this. Like what I showed you on my Beast Boy is definitely enough to do 2 billion damage. So yeah, it comes down to whenever you're gonna see the chest in the store, whenever it's gonna be a good deal to get the chest. But trust me, the character's worth it, and it's worth to try and get 1 gear for him. I know it's a legendary, but hey, it's a good one. It's worth it. Okay, so this one's gonna be a bit weird because I'm gonna give you two options for characters. I mean, you can have both of them. Also, since we're here anyway, a budget option. If you get the Black Adam in the arena seasons and you have a puppet of Zatanna artifact, he's gonna also deal a pretty decent amount of damage. He's nowhere close to the level of Lord Joker, but it's gonna give you a good run for his money and what he's worth and how hard he is to get. He is definitely a decent budget damage dealer. Everything I said so far, every character I presented, even Lord Joker, I wouldn't really go out of my way to call them budget damage dealers. They're actual damage dealers. This guy's more of a budget damage dealer. So if you drop him in the arena seasons and you're missing somebody and you have Puppet of Zatanna, because this man has a very easy time to activate puppets. Also, another way to activate puppet is you put this man in the team and you use special too, because that adds 2 negative effects if you want that for Beast Boy. But yeah, I'm getting off topic. So we have Kim Flan Aquaman here. Now the question is, what do we do to him? And that leads us kind of in two paths. Because King can do two things, as I said, can either use Splint Blade mainly to pair with Raven, and you're eventually gonna get a Raven. Like Raven is not the damage dealer, so she's not gonna be mentioned herself here. It's a support character that you should eventually get. And so once you get Raven, you need to have something that deals 2 billion damage with her. And for that, you're gonna have kinda a few options. But is King an option for Raven, or is he gonna use Nora Snow Globe to deal damage with the clones? If he's gonna use Nora Snow Globe to deal damage with the clones, then you need somebody to deal damage with Raven. And for that purpose, I just recommend Raiden. Raiden's great. He's literally Kim Flan Sakam to an extent, but on one hand, he's gonna get where I think this one. He's gonna get a bit more damage buff. Like I think King gets 500%, he gets 600%, or they both get 600%. It doesn't matter, but Raiden gets it faster than King. And you can use him with Twin Blade plus Raven, and that's a 2 billion damage team. Or if you're using King with Raven, then what you probably want to do, get yourself a Deathstroke in the I know, another legendary character. But this is all you need. You do not need gears for this man. You just need to spam the special 2, have Nora Snow Globe on him, and then allow him to die so that your clones can do the same thing, basically. It really depends what way you go with King. If you're gonna keep using King with Nora Snow Globe, then it's not going to be that much of a rush to get this stroke. But if you're going to use your King with Raven, then maybe get this stroke. I really recommend Raven with Raven. I personally like that a lot more. But yeah, let's move on. And yeah, the last step is going to be, again, not a little bit of a weird thing. It's looking into the League of Anarchy, there's three League of Anarchy characters. Generally speaking, there's EPI, which is a must because she basically makes the team work because she makes them deal dot damage on her basic hits. So having an EPI is really mandatory. And then there's Joker, and then there's Harley. Now, out of all of them, Harley and EPI are the strongest ones, and they are the recommended ones to do as damage dealers. The only thing is, Harley is gonna be harder to gear up because her gears do not drop from league rates. You can get gears for the R2 from league rates. They even have challenges from time to time, but that happens way too not often to really account for that as an actual way of getting their gears, to be honest. But yeah, it depends if you have gears on Harley or not. And when it comes to the decision between building or not building, building Joker or building EPI, first of all, look at the gears. Who do you have gears on? Because they're both good. They're both good. I honestly like EPI more overall, but over here, for example, I'm way into class ascension at this point. Oh, and I can class ascend EPI another time actually. I might do that eventually. I'm for sure gonna do that eventually. But on the secondary account, for example, I have enough shards to max class ascend Lord Joker, and you're gonna look at class ascension, you're gonna be like, that's too far away from me. It doesn't matter that this is class ascension. Instead of class ascension, it could have been a situation of my Joker is like 7 stars and my EPI is like 3 stars. In that case, get your EPI higher star rating because you depend on the EPI passive level. But yeah, whoever you feel like between the both of them is better geared and has more potential of you having an easy time building that character, that should be the damage dealer between the two of them. And with EPI, you don't really need the gears for her supporting purposes, but you need a star rating because it's gonna get better and better. Like building a League of Arc is probably the most complicated step for a new player because everything I mentioned so far, it's gonna be things that are relatively manageable. Like you're probably gonna unlock a 3 star Peaceable eventually. You're probably gonna get Raiden from the arena store and get his gears eventually. You're probably gonna build a Lord Joker and get the Robin King from the arena season eventually. But League of Rank is the first thing that you might have to open a chest for. You might or might not have gears for, and they need them. Unlike other characters that are gonna be hard to get gears for on this list, but don't need them. And yeah, that's the first kind of roadblock, and then it evolves into, oh, you wanna have another team? Well, how about building a Mister Freeze? He has to be at least 6 stars to deal 2 billion damage, and he's a legendary character. Like from League of Anarchy onwards, the teams are gonna get real hard to really properly put together and max out and get them to a point where they are very usable in soul rates. All that being said, this is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye!